If you are in a relationship with an INFJ and are noticing some differences, some strange behavior, or you're getting to know an INFJ and just noticing some weird, quirky behavior, I think probably the first thing to do is go to the checklist, see if you have actually fed your INFJ after midnight, whether you have gotten your INFJ wet, whether you have actually exposed your INFJ to bright light. These things are uncommon for an INFJ. We may start to multiply. Our inferior SE gremlin might come out, and we might multiply beyond our rare statistical numbers. So my advice is to look for the one with the mohawk, and may the odds be in your favor. But if you are considering a relationship with an INFJ, or are in a relationship with an INFJ, you may notice some strange behavior, because we are quite silly. There is a very much of a silliness there, a very silly nature. It's like, I mean, most of the time I'm trying not to turn this channel into a silly channel because there's an underlying current of silliness. So we may do things where we appear quite extroverted. We come out of our shell quite a lot and basically play the fool, and be foolish and be playful and be silly. And this can be either one-on-one or even in a group sometimes if we feel comfortable in a group. Or we may bring up the vibe of the group by doing that. But I think once again there needs to be that comfort level or trust level in that. Yeah, we can be also quite affectionate, and I think affection for an INFJ is sort of a good sign that they're feeling trust and definitely closeness. If an INFJ is kind of in your personal space, or is allowing you in their personal space, it's kind of a good sign that there may be something developing there. I can't say for certain. I mean, there's situations where we have to be close, workplaces, whatever. Standing on a bus it doesn't necessarily mean affection, but if they're wanting to be close to you, as far as be in your space and allow them to have you in your space. And what I mean by that is that it's kind of a trust thing. I think maybe a vibe thing on the empathy side, where it's like if we don't get a good feel for someone, we like not feel as in tactile feel, but just a feel, I guess energy, if you want to put it that way. We tend not to want to be too close to that. We'll be a bit standoffish. But if we're allowing that in, then it's kind of like a breaking down of the walls and opening up to receptivity to having someone within their space, because we value our space, we value our energy, our time. It's like, if this sounds rough, if you're an annoyance to that sort of thing, then we'll try to avoid that sort of thing. Even just having time for our introverted intuition to develop, if that's constantly getting interrupted, it's kind of hard for us to actually be us in a way. And I'll get to that in a second, but I just wanted to cover one more topic on that, is that sometimes touch for an INFJ, for me, like, I've gotten better. I'm definitely more of a touchy person now, as far as like touch as being. I think there's also like a respect thing on our side, where it's like we don't want to just go up to, we're not like, oh hi, and give you a hug sort of thing. Some of it might be, and that might be just be around people that we know, but it feels like an infringement on the other person's space if we're just like pat on the back or whatever sort of thing. And having that time for that introverted intuition to develop is a good thing for an INFJ, because that is our kind of our leisure time or pleasure time to actually be sitting on a couch seemingly doing nothing sort of thing, but internally it's like a magical joyride that's going on there of like joining the dots on a lot of things. So sometimes it is good just to leave us be in the moment of joining the introverted intuition dots, feeling what we're experiencing. We might be putting ourselves in other people's shoes, or we might also just be exploring concepts in that and getting those aha moments in that. It's like it's like a hit of like endorphin sort of thing. It's like, aha, I've joined those dots and I probably should share that. Oh crap, I'm on to the next swing. But I think anything where you're leaving us too much in our head, we could either get an NITI loop or just become very withdrawn, because once again, if we're getting enjoyment out of it, we might forget the actual real world. We have to go out into the real world to experience things, and especially in a relationship sort of thing, be with the other person. The other person can't join our introverted intuition world, unfortunately. It would be great to, it would definitely help with the communication if we could just point to what we're actually seeing. We tend to get a bit irate sometimes, and that sort of deals with the INFJ, the introverted intuition. And what I mean by irate is we might join the dots on something and see something that's probably going to create a bit of social disharmony or personal disharmony, and we kind of want to warn people about that sort of thing. And I guess what you call getting on our soapbox to actually start trying to communicate this. And it's kind of like if you put it in a metaphor, like you could be, an INFJ could be at the bow of the Titanic sort of thing and see the iceberg way ahead of everyone else. It's like even the watchman can't see it sort of thing. We're like, holy crap, there's an iceberg coming straight this way. Way before anyone else can see it, we run, tell everyone, hey, it's like iceberg coming. We're gonna hit this if we don't change our course, if we don't change our behavior. Can we at least get some sort of motivation, some change, some social change here to actually avoid this, or personal development to actually avoid this? And before you know, you're crunching into that iceberg, because a lot of people are just saying, well, I don't think so. Where's your facts on this? We're more sensory. It's like, I think you're being a bit pedantic about this. That'll never happen. It's like the iceberg means well, it'll never crash into us, these sorts of things. And then like everyone's in the lifeboat as the Titanic's sinking, probably going, well, like, when no one told us this was going to happen, I thought it was unsinkable sort of thing. How could this happen sort of thing? It's like, and you're there being the INFJ going, I friggin' told you so. It's like no one would believe me. It's like I feel invalidated sort of thing. And I think, even in that situation, people might go, well, it's like, you just wanted to be right about the iceberg. It's like, come on, dude. I think with that is just learning to listen once again to the INFJ's concerns, and it's going to be very hard to actually. It's not like a prediction. It's just we've seen something. We've joined a few dots on a few patterns, and we can see some danger. And it's coming from a good place. We're wanting to actually tell people like disharmony is on the horizon, but being able to maybe explore that, unpack that, and see if it is an actual feasibility of that happening. But I think dismissing, because we put so much value in the introverted intuition, because it is our dominant function, it's how we perceive the world, to dismiss that is almost like dismissing us in a way. And once again, the unfortunate upside of that is we'll start to figure you out as well as to why that is so. It's like, why is this person not valuing me? Because we tend to do a lot for people, whether people know about that or not, sort of thing. It's like, I for one, like, will do a lot for people, but not boast about it, sort of thing, because I don't feel the need to, because I'm not doing it for the accolades. Probably, yeah, just acknowledging that we're meaning well in doing that. We're not trying to be the crazy people in that sort of thing. A lot of what I perceive is just based on logic. I'm just playing out a logical thing. If you look at game theory or anything like that, stock markets, they're normally trying to predict what's happening, the trends, and that what's the next fashion trip, these sorts of things. Everything follows a pattern. So by denying the introverted intuition, you're almost denying the INFJ in a way. But if you're going to do it on purpose, then it's also it's not a good game to play with an INFJ as well. We're very empathetic, definitely empathy. I talked about that in the loneliness one. We spend a lot of time in emotional depths of things. Not that we're like dramatic people in that, it's just we experience things quite intensely, and other people's emotions quite intensely with that empathy sort of thing. We will literally put ourselves in the other person's shoes to see it from their side, which means feeling it from their side. It's kind of like role-playing another person to see how that looks down the track. We also, I mentioned about the INFJ, if you're considering a relationship with that as like, because they're known as a counsellor and as a therapy thing. Now, if you're looking for an INFJ as a therapist, you've got to look at what an actual therapist would do in the real world sort of thing. That you don't pay your money for a yes man sort of thing. You don't go in there and say, oh, they did all these terrible things, and the therapist is like, yeah, you're right, don't change sort of thing. It's like, don't learn from any of this. It's like, I'm just going to agree with you. It's like, thanks for the money sort of thing. Yeah, it's like, you don't pay for a yes man. And it's similar with an INFJ. We will see both sides of the argument. So we're not doing it to dismiss the bad day that you've had, but we're trying to understand how the bad day happened and how to avoid it in the future, or if there's learning experiences. It's like, unfortunately, people are not big ones on accountability, I've found. So sometimes it might be someone's venting about something, but they may have caused the issue, and it's like, if you don't want to feel distress, this may avoid it in the future sort of thing, which is once again coming from a caring side, because like, we could just sit there and nod our head and go, yes, this person is terrible sort of thing, and you've had a bad day, which we will do, but we'll also explore it from the other side. And we do it the same with our own thoughts and emotions. I explore things from both sides of the thing to actually see, am I being irate about this? Am I being illogical about this? Am I getting too much in my, like, I will jump from playing the protagonist and the antagonist, or the counselor or the devil's advocate, to explore an idea, and that's where I think that contradictoriness comes out of, like, we might be strong on one point and then actually give it a lot of thought and reflection and then swap to another side, which does make us unpredictable in the sense of being hard to understand or read sort of thing. People want that firm ground cement sort of thing, whilst we like to unpack a lot of things, and if we're wrong and change it, basically. It's not that hard. I think probably I mean, I can't speak for all INFJs on this, but definitely connection with a peer person that's probably a little bit more than physical, where it's more if we find the person intriguing, if we find them like, I'm not saying that looks don't count sort of thing, I'm just sort of saying that there might be a certain trait or a certain intriguingness or interestingness that we find in a person that is more beautiful than probably looks, for example, sort of thing. So what you might think we would be attracted to, we might be attracted to something different sort of thing, but I can't speak for all INFJs on that. Some people might really like the pretty man or woman sort of thing, some people might not. Yeah, we're going to be multi-layered, so just when you think you know us, there's going to be another layer of that. So once again, with those assumptions and that, it's best to communicate rather than to assume. And also, it's basically going to be just when you think you know us, there's going to be another layer sort of thing. So I guess it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube of discovery sort of thing, and whether you actually solve the puzzle in the end, or you just have a person that's actually very affectionate, very caring, can seem distant sometimes, but whether they're distant just to avoid you, you probably know from the vibe of the INFJ, they'll probably be brooding quite a bit, but I think sometimes we're just distant because we're in our head. We're in basically the introverted intuition land, having a good old time in there, and and if someone can actually tolerate those depths of the conversations and the depths of the feelings and that from time to time, or just all in, I think that would be appreciated from the INFJ side. And the INFJ definitely is not perfect, is not like sage-like or anything like that. They're going to stuff up, they're going to make mistakes, and I think it's a good sign of emotional maturity on the INFJ side of like how stubborn they will be on actually adapting to another side of it. We're going to be stubborn, whatever sort of thing. If we've made our mind up on something, it's hard to change that. But I guess if we're outrightly wrong and we're refusing to accept accountability on that, then I think that's also a sign of emotional development. But that said, can be said about any MBTI type, or if you don't believe in the MBTI type, then anything outside of that. So yeah, I'm Dion from Eflowtion Support Services. I'm currently getting eaten alive by bugs, so I'm not actually eating me, actually. I tell a lie. There's crawling all over me and it feels weird. But I'll catch you in the next one, and bye for now. Hopefully that's been of help.